Hi, this is Argonax, and we talk about things that don't matter. Half-Life 3 is one of the most anticipated games of all time. It's kind of become a meme at this point, and a lot of fans are trying to predict or anticipate whenever this game could potentially come out. I've made several videos talking about this game and trying to hypothesize as to when its release could be. One of my predictions is that we could potentially see some news about it in this year of 2025. That's just my prediction. I'm very susceptible to getting that wrong. Let's be real, I'm probably going to be wrong. For decades, Half-Life fans have been getting their hopes up and inevitably shattered because they've just never received any news about a Half-Life 3. But lately, the momentum has been changing, and people are somewhat optimistic that there is a real possibility that we might hear about some Half-Life news sometime soon. Whether or not that ends up with a Half-Life 3's release is irrelevant to the topic of this video, because that's not really what I want to talk about. Half-Life 3, one of the most anticipated games ever. People have been waiting decades for this. Half-Life as a game franchise is one of the most important to the legacy and history of the gaming industry. It paved the way for so many systems and standards that we have nowadays that many people just take them for granted. Not to say that Half-Life can't be enjoyed by the modern gamer, of course not. The game holds up extremely well. And it shows because people have been enjoying Half-Life games ever since the late 90s. And now, as time moves forward, games are becoming more and more mainstream. From the most hardcore of gamers to your grandparent or Joe Schmo are playing video games now. Casual gamers and everyday gamers are just enjoying games more than ever before, and that's a great thing. But that begs the question, will casual gamers even care about Half-Life 3 if it did come out? Would they even play the game and give it a try? Or a bigger question is, would they even know what Half-Life 3 is? These are the questions I want to tackle in this video. So join me, Internet Wanderer, as I try to decide if one of Valve's most anticipated games of all time, one of the most memed on games in the history of all games, will it actually make an impact to people who aren't as invested in video games? Your mom, your grandparents, your neighbor down the street, the guy who works at the gas station, the people who aren't chronically online like me and, let's be real, you. Will they care about Half-Life 3? Let's talk about that. Hey there, Internet Wanderer. My name is Argonax. In this channel, we make video reviews, essays, commentaries, and shorts. I hope you enjoy my stuff enough to do the YouTube things listed here, especially the liking and subscribing part. And special shout out to all the channel members who help keep the channel going. Their contributions mean a lot to me, and their support is extremely appreciated. But let's not dwell on this for too long. Let's get back to the topic at hand. So why do I say that casual gamers might not even care about Half-Life 3? Well, let's put it like this. Half-Life as a game franchise is big, but it's not quotations big, if that makes sense. Video games are big now. In fact, they're bigger than any other time in history. But that's video games with a small v, plural in the abstract sense. But do you want to know capital letter video games that are huge? Call of Duty, Fortnite, FIFA, Minecraft, my Dota Underlords videos, Pokemon. These are the type of video games that are big. And just like games or music or any other form of literally anything, there's different levels of legendary and different levels of being, quote, household names. For example, gamers will know what Doom, Wolfenstein, Quake, Half-Life are. These are household names for gamers. But regular people who just either don't play video games at all or just dabble with it occasionally, Joe Schmo, the mainstream, people who end every sentence with emojis. Ugh. These types of people might, at best, only know what Doom is? Sure, maybe some of them might know Half-Life and these other games. But for the most part, I lean on the fact that they might not actually know what Half-Life is. I really need to stress that normal people, it sounds so weird when I say that. It's like they're an alien species, isn't it? God. I really need to touch some grass. Nah, fuck that. Subscribe to the channel. Average Joes, everyday people. I'm willing to bet that most of them don't know what Half-Life is. And it's also rather unfortunate that Half-Life, as a franchise, is more important to gamers and to the history and legacy of games. But as a commercial product, it's actually not that big. I don't really have solid numbers for the lifetime sales of Half-Life as a franchise, but from just skimming across the web, I can kind of find some numbers like Half-Life 1 has sold about 11 million copies as of 2011. Half-Life 2 has sold about 30 million copies according to this Reddit post. There can be some discrepancies here and there, and Valve is not the type of company to share their sales numbers, but we can roughly estimate the ballpark of Half-Life's lifetime sales to be around the 50 million mark, more or less. Sure, there's probably more copies out there since Valve likes to sell these games at a massive discount or just give them away for free during events, but even then, the number doesn't really change. You can maybe add an extra 10 or 20 million to that 50 million rough estimate number, but regardless, it doesn't really change the fact that in the grand scheme of big video games, that's a relatively small number. For some comparison, Mario, across all of its games, which include spin-offs like Mario Party, Mario Kart, blah blah blah, etc., they have sold almost 1 billion copies. Tetris has sold 500 million for legitimate copies, but if you count all the rip-offs and unlicensed games that are styled like Tetris, it well surpasses the billion mark. Call of Duty, Pokemon, and GTA, all roughly around 50 million. These are the types of sale numbers that I'm talking about, and these are the type of games that leave a mark on the everyday people, on the mainstream society. And I bring this up because sales are important, as much as I wish that they weren't, because sales numbers push perception. They push how things are perceived by the general public. Not to say that things with low sales can't be good, of course not. Indie games, for example, are amazing. Some of my favorite games are indie games. And indie games are important to the health of the gaming industry. They really are. But just like a good industry needs indie, doesn't matter if it's gaming, art, music, you name it, it also needs the mainstream aspect of it to do well. But it's rather unfortunate that the gap between indie games and mainstream games is just so massive. And mainstream games, unfortunately, dictate the trajectory of the gaming industry moving forward. So I believe that Half-Life 3 will be a big game. It will, for me and all of my subscribers and viewers who are all Valve fans, or even if you're not a Valve fan at all. I'm not confident if Half-Life 3 might actually release in 2025, but I do know of one game that is coming out in 2025, allegedly, if it doesn't get delayed, which is also likely. GTA 6 fits the bill as a highly anticipated game for both gamers and mainstream audiences. You'll know because whenever this game comes out, there is going to be a quantifiable dip in human productivity on that specific day. People will be calling out of work just to play this one video game. And if it comes out in 2025, and if hypothetically, Half-Life also comes out roughly at the same time, I am just worried that it'll get overshadowed. Now, realistically, it's not that big of a concern because, well, Valve is a private company and they decide when a game can release. There's no shareholders to pressure them into releasing a game at a specific date, so Valve can choose whenever they would want to release Half-Life 3. So while Half-Life 3 is probably safe from being overshadowed by GTA 6, other games, however, might not have the same luxury. I remember, I think it was Avengers Endgame, and the day that movie came out, there was a new Alvin and the Chipmunks movie that also came out, I think. Yikes. Imagine GTA 6 comes out and, I don't know, they release another Horizon game. Knowing their luck, that might actually just happen all over again. I'm willing to bet most of the people watching my videos are gamers, or at least dabble in games to a decent amount, and you have all heard of Half-Life in the past, and you've probably seen a meme or two about Half-Life 3. You all know how important Half-Life 3 is. I'm just not convinced that the general public does. But is that even a bad thing? I don't think it is. Games can be many things. They can serve as an escape, a hobby. There are ways for people to have experiences of fun, challenge themselves, a way for people to socialize, tell stories, experiences, all sorts of things. And just because a game isn't going to sell Call of Duty level sales or whatever, doesn't diminish a game's quality, its legacy, or what it has to say. There are indie games out there who's probably only sold hundreds, maybe thousands of copies. Does that take away from the game's importance or its meaning? Of course not. You could make a video game by yourself right now and tell your own story. And that video game's story and its purpose, its meaning, will be already right there, even if technically one person plays it. But that means that that game has been able to at least been shared by others. I'm getting all deep and philosophical, I'm sorry, but just because a Half-Life 3, no matter how good it is, will not sell huge numbers, it won't really change the general mainstream world. I don't think so. It'll change the gaming world for damn sure. But general audiences, I don't think so. And that's fine. Half-Life has always been more important to the history and legacy of games. Fortnite might be able to move billions of dollars with, I don't know, a single skin, with a single cosmetic, or be able to make headlines because they featured Snoop Dogg at their upcoming musical concert or whatever. But that's because people are experiencing Fortnite as a commercial product. People will be playing Half-Life as like this herald of new things to come for games. And that's what Half-Life 3 will be. If there's nothing else that I can assure you, Half-Life 3 will be the future of games. It will serve as a landmark of games moving forward. It doesn't matter if the guy at the gas station played it. As long as some of you played it, that's good enough for me. And I hope that's good enough for you too, Internet Wanderer. Tell me down in the comment section below if you think that I'm correct about my assessment about Half-Life 3 and its impact to general audiences. Do you agree or disagree? Let me know down below. Thanks for watching, Internet Wanderer. Do the YouTube things.